In this brief video, I'm going to show you the structure for composing body paragraphs for a college essay. That structure has a very simple acronym, TEA, T if you will. Now, when you get to argument, they change the names, but the structure is the same, and it fundamentally means this. The first sentence of your body paragraph will be a topic sentence, one sentence which expresses the general content of the actual paragraph, the overall meaning of it, if you will. Then you're going to have several sentences of examples. Those can be quotes. Of course, that's a big part of college writing. The quote should be from credible sources, and there should be usually more than one per paragraph. You're going to have facts and statistics, which you also will find in your research, but these give detail about your topic sentence. And finally, your analysis, about half of the paragraph, if you will, in which you will use your words and your intelligence to connect the examples to the topic sentences and to the overall point of the paper or to the thesis. So again, we're dealing with a very mathematical, very logical way of constructing an essay. This is all tied together. In the introduction, the hook, stakes, and thesis flow together. They connect logically. Here the same thing is true. The topic should flow into the examples. The example should flow into the analysis. Now, lengthwise, there's a lot of room in terms of composing a body paragraph for sentence length. So you want to be between about 8 and 14 sentences, 8 on the low end, 14 on the high end before you break. Anywhere in there is fine, but you really don't want to be less than 8 because it's really hard to analyze and to put your voice in there if you have less than that. In terms of the overall weight of each of these parts, again, the topic sentence is only just one sentence, right? So the rest of it composes most of the weight of it. If you have 2 or 3 quotes or 2 quotes and a fact and statistic, you definitely want to take 2 or 3 sentences or 3 or 4 sentences to analyze those quotes and to explain what they mean. So really, we're going to see this in a paragraph in just a moment. But when you give a quote, maybe it's a long quote that's 4 lines long or something like that, students often assume that by reading it, the reader will know what the quote means, and that is a false assumption when writing for college. Instead, you actually have to take the time to go back through the language of the quote and tell the reader in your own words, by paraphrasing it, what it means. A good rule of thumb is if you have a quote that's 2 lines long, you want 2 sentences of analysis about it. If it's 4 lines long, you want 4. If it's 6, you want 6, etc. Certainly a brief statistic might not require that much, but it might require more. Something that's really important you want to dig into and you have to explain, you really have to take time in the analysis to explain why each of the examples is valid to understand the topic and therefore the overall thesis of the paragraph. When it gets right down to it, this part of the body paragraph is the grade maker. This is where you make the A or the B or the C. If you got one sentence of this, it's not enough because this is where your voice comes into play. This is where your intelligence exists. Honestly, this is the only part where your writing actually exists. You're composing logical sentences that connect to one another. Everything else can be outlined and almost kind of cut and paste, if you will, but not here. I really need you to focus on interpreting every quote that you use, every example that you use in order to develop your thinking and to have a sound essay. All right, so we'll stop this now, but I'll just let you know that in the next video I'm going to write a body paragraph for you and show you how I connect things together. Understand that it's not perfect, but it's going to give you a really good guideline about these elements and how they work with one another to make the essay whole. All right, so move on from this and look at that sample paragraph next.